Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook video on Friday the 26th of October. Now, it's a generally chilly outlook, and across Scotland, staying in that cold air mass more or less all the way through the week ahead. We've got a rather messy picture, though, in midweek. Areas of low pressure moving around quite slowly, so day-to-day detail is tricky. Not settled, the idea of rain or showers being around, but generally not as wet as if we were seeing weather systems coming steaming in from the Atlantic. That said, further down the line, I suspect west or southwesterly patterns will come back in. Let's have a look at temperatures, and this is the 850 millibar level. That's a little bit higher up than the highest Scottish tops at this stage, but gives a useful steer as to the air mass temperatures. And it's at its very coldest in the immediate short term, through into Saturday morning, down below -5 on Cairngorm and Ben Nevis, for example, and staying more or less below freezing, above 700 or 800 metres for several days ahead, becoming a little bit less cold eventually with time, England and Wales, but overall, for several days ahead, that cold air is very much in place. If we just run things on and take you towards midweek and beyond, we just see eventually a very slow lift of temperature coming up from the south. The bluer colours give way to the greens just as we move on towards the end of the week. So you see how a slow process it is to get anything like milder air back in. And even then, nothing too special, so still rather on the cool side. It's northerly winds that dominate then in the short term. Will turn easterly with time. Here's Saturday's chart and shows that the idea of bands of showers coming down from the north are all rather averaged out on this chart, but nevertheless it's northern Scotland, the Cairngorms, those hills very much nearest the Irish Sea coast in West Wales that will see most of the showers. One or two flurries may get onto the eastern side of the Pennines, but if you're down the central spine from the Central Highlands southwards into the lakes and Pennines, essentially very few showers, a cold and a bright day. A widespread frost then as we go through into Sunday, probably the coldest night of the season so far across the Highlands, with that cold air mass and light winds in place. For Sunday daytime, one or two areas of showers still around, not as many across northern Scotland as Saturday, but still some affecting the Cairngorms, the eastern Highlands, and a few showers coming into the eastern Pennines, just as the wind is turning a bit more northeasterly. Very few, though, reaching the Lake District and out towards Wales. Trying to develop more of an easterly wind into Monday. We've got fronts out to the west of Ireland. Those are being held off at this stage, and it's the idea of just a few areas of showers, chiefly around coastal hills, the eastern Scottish Highlands seeing the most of those, very few elsewhere. Again, a frosty start to the morning and staying a cool day, but a bright one with a good amount of sunshine. Starting to get quite messy into midweek then, and we've got areas of low pressure around. One that's over the North Sea, some indications would bring that a little bit further in, so it could be that across England and Wales there is a zone of wet weather with some snow across the Pennines and the high tops into the Peak District perhaps, if that does develop. Uncertainty with that one just at this stage. For Scotland, it looks like the easterly wind is around. One or two local showers, chiefly across more eastern regions, one or two floating around coastal hills elsewhere, but overall you could have a decent day, and the Western Highlands, with shelter from that easterly wind, probably doing the best of all for the cloud breaks and the sunshine. So I won't try and get too clever about the middle of the week. A lot just to unfold with the weather patterns by then, especially once you get slow-moving low-pressure systems in charge. Slight variations could really change the story of the day by this stage. We'll just move on over a few days generally, and it's areas of low pressure revolving around slowly, so areas of showers. Some areas could stay persistently wet with some snow on the high tops. Other places could get away with it and stay dry for a good part of a day, if not all day, at some point through midweek. Still got something of a trough, the U-shape, which digs in all the way across Western Europe toward the end of the week, keeping some instability in charge there, so always the risk of some troughs of showers, maybe something more organised, of a frontal band getting in at some point, so always just to be on the watch for still rather mixed, changeable conditions throughout this time. And the overall theme then, as we go into the start of November, seems to be a more structured weather pattern, if you like, in that it's coming in more of an Atlantic southwesterly, so back to what you could say is a more typical weather regime. With that comes somewhat milder air. There could be some colder incursions coming round off the North Atlantic at times, but more frequent rain-bearing weather fronts coming in, and the risk of becoming quite a bit wetter with that Atlantic pattern taking charge. So as always, it's one to keep up to date with your local details. Do that every day at the Mountain Weather Information Service website. Thanks for watching this video today. Bye for now.